So walk me through that day. Tell me what exactly happened.
Well, Kristen could help you more because I stayed through the storm. Kristen evacuated herself and her family.
So Kristen, first of all, tell me how many children you have.
4.
And the age group?
16, 13, 10, and 4.
Your cute little munchkins. And then just tell me what happened the night of the storm, or I should say the day of the storm, because it really hit us around 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, can I just interject?
Yeah, absolutely.
The storm we were very used to wind on the Barrier Islands and rain, and it didn't seem to be really significant. The wind was blowing pretty heavy, and the rain was drizzling a little bit. But then all of a sudden, at about 3 o'clock, the ocean broke through, and it looked like you were doing whitewater rafting down the street, and the whole Barrier Islands, excuse me, was full within 5 minutes of 5 feet of water. And then when the storm circulated around, then the bay came in.
The way that people describe it to me, it was similar to a tsunami, where it was so quick. It was like in 5 minutes. You went from a few inches to, like I said, 5 to 6 feet.
It started out as a few puddles, and then all of a sudden we were in 5 feet of water. I know it was 5 feet of water because I'm 5'5". I was up to my neck in water, and I was trying to dismantle my battery on my truck before it went on fire.
Because it was going off, the alarm.
So keep going with your story. So what happened was...
then, the whole area filled up with water, plus my whole house filled up with water. And the only thing that we had, the only facilities we had was buckets, so we could use the bathroom. We would go down a few steps into my foyer, because the water was up about 4 to 5 steps. And we would get buckets and go in there and then use the bathroom facilities. Also, one of my tenants, he decided to work it out too, and the water started to come up through the floors, so he came and stayed with us on the second floor, and we spent 2.5 days together until the water receded. And that's how we used the bathroom facilities. There was no gas, nothing, no electricity, nothing. That's how and then the water receded. Then we went outside to see how bad it was, and then it looked like it truly looked like bombed out Europe during the Second World War. That's what it looked like.
That's what I was hearing. That they just said it just looked like a war zone.
That's what it was.
You and Amory walked up to the beach.
Yeah.
And the gas was so bad, the gas lines, because they were all broken.
Yeah.
And the gas company was up there scrambling around trying to find the shut-off valves.
Because they sunk.
Yeah,
the main valves sunk down into the ground for some reason or another. They couldn't find a shut-off, and then subsequently fires started to happen. And I think there was 100 homes burnt down in Mantelope, and I'm not sure. That's what I heard, but I'm not sure about that. They all went up on fire.
So when you were there, when did you feel at that point it was unsafe for you to stay? Like at this point, you stayed
to be honest
through.
with you, after spending 2.5 days with no facilities other than some bathroom facilities, then we decided there was no point in staying anymore, because it just didn't seem like anything was going to get any better. It was just total devastation. And we left.
And where did you guys go?
First, we went to a gentleman's house, my daughter-in-law's stepfather. He let us stay there. All of us stayed there. How many of us there,
10.
Kristen? 10 of us.
6 kids and 10. Total of 10 of us.
And a very relatively small 2-bedroom house. Was it 2 or 3? 2 bedrooms or something like that. 3 bedrooms. And we stayed there for 10 days, Kristen? Something like that?
We were back and forth because our power kept going on and then off.
Oh, yeah.
Off.
Yeah.
So we had no heat, no oven, no anything. So.
Yeah, at that place we had no facilities too. No, let's not do this. Let's go this way.
There's like nobody here.
What do you mean as far as
Well,
people?
usually you come over here and there's like all military and police.
Well, they're here. Trust me. You'll see them.
It actually looks pretty good.
Wait.
Well, that's the other thing that I know when my son came over here, he said, Mom, from the visual eye, people will say, oh, well, there's still some homes standing. And like you said, it looks good, but then when you get closer up to the area, you realize that, they're flooded out, that they're gutted out,
Yeah.
So some of the homes that stayed standing are unlivable and unsafe. Yeah, very safe. And like you said, because you guys couldn't go back for so long, the level of mold that you were experiencing was so high in the homes.
It actually is costing us probably 20 to 30% more just to get rid of the mold than it would have been if they would have let us on the island.
Well, what I mean by it looks better,
Compared to
what it was when we first came over. I mean, you couldn't even see over the mounds of garbage that was out. Everybody.
This is one of our real Jersey girls who lives in Ortley Beach, has been a New Jersey resident all your life. Kristen actually was one of the Ortley residents that lost her home in the storm, and I just want Kristen to be able to tell us and for us to walk a mile in her shoes right now as she just explains to us what happened the day of the storm. So Kristen, if you could just give us an idea of where you were. Were you home at the time?
Well, we had to evacuate the day before.
Okay, so that was
the Sunday, the 28th.
Okay, so the 28th, you evacuated your home. And I know you had said that before, but just for the other listeners, you have 4 children. And if you could just tell us what their ages are?
16, 13, 10, and 4.
Wow. Okay, so you had to quickly evacuate. What did you take with you?
We only took about 2 days worth of clothes because we've been through evacuations before, and it's never been anything much more than the streets flooding on the ends of the streets where the sewers are. So we expected to come back within 2 days. We only had 2 days worth of clothes and the shoes on our feet and just basically a hoodie, coat because it was fairly warm, and that's all we had.
Wow. Okay. So where did you guys go?
We went to Whiting, which is where my and so we stayed there for the storm and expected to return after 2 days, but we ended up being there for about a month and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So how many bedrooms is this house?
It was only 2 bedrooms.
Wow. So 4 kids and a husband. So in a 2-bedroom home. And regarding the children's clothing, how did that all play out?
Well, it was a little rough the first week because then the weather had turned very cold, and so we actually went to Silverton Firehouse. We heard that they were receiving a lot of donations of clothing and supplies, so we went to Silverton Firehouse, and basically when we told the volunteers there where we were from, they split us up individually and start throwing things into a bag for each one of us.
Wow. So
They were awesome.
So our local community was really who rallied and gave you supplies.
Yep.
Wow. Kudos to them. Yeah, true Jersey boys and girls at hand, us witnessing the community spirit that we've been dealing with,
Yes.
That's the only thing that's keeping me going is our local support.
It was absolutely.
Absolutely. So tell me how long it was before you were allowed to even see what happened to your home.
It was exactly 3 weeks to the day of being first evacuated.
Okay, so
we
we're
had to
looking
wait
at
3
like right
Sundays.
before Thanksgiving you were allowed to go back?
I don't remember the exact date, but it was before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And maybe a week, yeah.
And so you went back, and how did you get back over there?
the only way you could access the island at that point was through buses. You had to go to the FEMA location, which is in Toms River, and hand over your license. And then you were granted a pass to board a bus, and you were only allowed to have 2 people per residence. So it was my husband and I, and we boarded the bus and came over, and they dropped you off as far as they could drop you off. And then we had to walk with our suitcases to our house. And
So how far from where they dropped you off to your house was it approximately?
it was 1 block
Okay.
because they had barricades
Okay.
onto our street.
So were you allowed to bring a volunteer to help you get supplies out of your home?
No.
So you and your husband literally were all by yourself walking to your home.
Right.
Okay, just if you can, I know it's hard, but can you tell me what you were feeling at the time as you were walking to your home?
It was hard because some of your neighbors were there already. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. We're all sad, so we're allowed to have that emotion. So, and that was the first time you physically saw the devastation. So you were dealing with not only the grief of your loss as a community, but you were dealing with the grief of, just what you're witnessing, just as a citizen of the United States of America, that, if you were walking through this and you didn't lose your home, you were feeling the pain of the loss. Absolutely. Absolutely. So you got to your home, and what did you see?
Basically, we looked around outside first because there was so many things that were outside that were not ours.
Okay.
So we just kind of had to take, because my husband and I were both very emotional. So basically, you just kind of to the perimeter of your house. And before you could actually get in. And then we decided to go in, and we couldn't even get in because the floors had swollen and the door had swollen. So we had to push the door open as much as possible and then take the door off the hinges in order to get in and out. And because 3 weeks of waterlogged floors and frames, you couldn't even, it was just so much. The wood was all, the floors were all uneven, and but we fared pretty well compared to our neighbors because most of our furniture didn't move and didn't fall on itself, as opposed to other people.
Yeah. Now, if you were to tell Congress right now, what would you want to say to them?
We need help. We need help with restoring our beaches because there's nobody here except for the locals.
And when you say the beaches, you mean the homes and the areas around them? What are you speaking of when you say that?
Yeah, it's everything. It's the entire community. It's the beach, it's the beach dunes, and because we can't have a community living here without protection of the dunes, and the homeowners need help as well, and with rebuilding, because this was a nice community before.
It was, wasn't it?
Very nice.
So thank you so much, and you are one of our real Jersey girls, so thank you so much for taking the time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.